Here we are with Sandra Solomon. Sandra, you were raised in Saudi Arabia, which has got to be one of the most Sharia compliant countries in the world, next to Afghanistan and the Islamic State and maybe Iran now. Um, and now you're an apostate of Islam and you've come to Canada. So, what I want to ask you is about the Islamic view of apostasy, or how Islam views people who've left the religion. And more importantly, how is Islamic apostasy rules and laws being taught right here in Canada, in Canadian mosques, and by Canadian imams?
Okay. There is a Canadian imam wants to see me executed, even though I escaped Sharia law and I came to Canada to live my freedom. I'm gonna tell you who's these imams. First imam, his name is Shahrayar Sheikh. He serves as imam of the Islamic Society of Kingston, Ontario, and he also served as the president of North America Muslim Foundation and the imam of Masjid Qurtuba in Scarborough. He also took a part in da'wah, that means introducing Islam to disbeliever, with activities affiliated with Islamic booth at Toronto Dundas Square. He supports the establishment of the Caliphate, the Islamic State. Shahrayar Sheikh, he believes that Islamic law, which is Sharia law, is essential to maintain a healthy and moral society, which can be achieved by using the Islamic punishments like execution, crucifixion, flogging, as effective deterrent against potential criminals. In this regard, he emphasized that punishment for apostate Muslims who left Islam is execution.
When a person in an Islamic state apostatizes, leaves religion, let Allah be a witness that I'm telling the truth, that the punishment for apostasy is death. Anybody telling you on a member anything else, wallahi lazim, they're lying to you.
And there's another imam. His name is Sheikh Ahmed Abdul Qadir Kandil. He's Egyptian. Was between 1990 and 1996 an imam of several mosques in Cairo and Alexandria. And he worked for 8 years as an imam, preacher, and teacher for Egyptian Ministry of Endowments. In Canada, Sheikh Ahmed Kandil, he worked as a teacher of Arabic language and the Quran in private schools in Edmonton and Montreal. And he was for 2 years the imam of Al-Rashid Mosque in Edmonton before moving to Laval, and served as imam of Al-Jisr Mosque.
قالوا أما الثاني فقد حارب الله ورسوله وقد خرج إلى فئة باغية فليس جزاؤه القتل فقط، ده جزاء حد الحرابة، إنما جزاء الذين يحاربون الله ورسوله ويسعون في الأرض فسادا أن يقتلوا أو يصلبوا أو تقطع أيديهم وأرجلهم من خلاف.
And the third imam, his name is Saeed al-Sheikh Rajah. His name Rajah Saeed al-Sheikh. The founder of and imam of Sakina Center. Sheikh Saeed Rajah from Scarborough, he justifies the death penalty in Islam for apostasy. He is a Somalian. He is the founder of Masjid Huda in Montreal. And he's an imam of Masjid Aya in Maryland. And Abu Huraira Islamic Center in Toronto. And advisor for Muslim Youth Magazine. And a member in Al-Aqsa Association. And he teaches and travels for Al-Maghrib Institute. And he also holds a post for chairman for Journey of Faith conference.
But if you purposely do this, then it goes back to the ruler. It goes back to the ruler and the judge of that time. But it could also, be to the point as far as killing that person.
And I would like to mention also about a book. There's an activist at Islamic booth at Toronto Dundas Square handing out copies of a book called Human Rights in Islam and Common Misconceptions, authored by Abdul Rahman Al-Sheikh. The sticker on the back of the book read, Walk in Islamic Info Center, 25351 Dundas Street West, Toronto. Their phone number is 647-994-6807 and 647-782-2303. I'm gonna quote from the book. It says, Islamic Sharia decrees execution for the person who apostatizes after accepting Islam as way of life and rejects Islamic beliefs on law. It says also, he is more dangerous and worse than an original non-believer who never was Muslim. The killing of an apostate from Islamic faith implies that such a person has violated the basis of Islam and attacked Islam openly and publicly with blasphemy. It considers it high treason. It says execution of such an apostate in reality of salvation that the rest of the society member from maliciousness and violence. So basically, for me now, speaking openly about Islam, of course, it's considered blasphemy. And therefore, these Canadian imams want to see me executed. And the Egyptian imam was reciting from the Quran that they give it, and then the square. That's the Quran they give it, and then the square. As we see here at the back, that's the sticker of them, of the center. And I'm gonna read from the Quran, Surah 5, verse 33. Indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive upon earth to cause a corruption is none but that they be killed or crucified, or that their hands and their feet be cut off from opposite sides. That's a translation from the Quran that they give in Dundas Square, what the Egyptian imam was reciting.
Wow. I mean,
That's how it is.
and so these are Canadian imams that are calling for the deaths or crucifixion or the crippling, the deliberate crippling of people who've left Islam right here in Canada. Not, yeah, it's just, I'd like to say it's unbelievable, but we know that's what the scripture says. Are you aware of any actions against apostates yet in Canada? I know there's massive amounts of actions in Europe, in England and France and other countries against apostates. Some of them very violent. But are you aware of these actions having taken place yet here in Canada?
Of course, let's not forget the honor killings that happen in Canada. They consider killing apostates, it's an honor. It's honor killing. Therefore, these imams who's calling for my execution, they don't know what I've been through. They don't know, like I escaped Sharia law. I run away for my life. What I saw in Saudi Arabia, since I was between 10 and 11 years, I saw the beheading in front of my eyes as a young girl. What I went through under Sharia law, these imams talking openly with no mercy, with no love here in Canada. They're not following, they're not even bothering about the Canadian law or a Canadian value of a free speech. They want to see the execution for the apostates like me, not knowing, not caring of what I went through when I lived under Sharia law. Living under Sharia law, especially for women, when they forced me to wear the hijab. My brother, he used to physically abuse me a lot to the point he will almost killed me. My brother, one time he almost killed me just because he saw me talking to some guy. He choked me with his hands. He almost killed me. If it wasn't for my grandma, I would have been killed. What I went through in Sharia law, when they locked me home, I was house arrest for 2 years. He didn't let me go finishing my education. And on top of that, they forced me into a marriage for a man I don't even know him. And this is a pure rape. I was raped for 4 years. They don't know what I went through. They don't know what I went through. That's why I escaped Sharia law. That's why I'm a survivor. I run for my life. I do have a concern now about my life, about my son's life. I have a child. I am concerned about my life. What I went through, what I've been through. I escaped Sharia law. I run away from Sharia law because I don't want to hate nobody. I don't want to be violent. This is a barbaric. I cannot take it just because my faith, just because I reject Islam. Is that the human right? That's a human right in Islam. This is the human right in Islam. Because of my faith, because I'm following Jesus now, because I rejected the violence and the hate toward anyone and everyone. I just want to love. I just want to love and be loved. That's all. I came to Canada to practice the freedom for my free, like what I don't know what to do now. Like I'm in Canada here. Of course I don't feel safe for my life, for my son's life. They don't know what I've been through, with no mercy, they don't care. They're in Canada. They speak openly about murdering someone not committed any crime, and they call it crime to leave Islam. You become like a criminal if you leave Islam, if you rejected the Islamic teaching, if you rejected Muhammad, if you rejected Sharia law.